We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay! So, independent play gives a child's brain the time it needs to integrate things that it's learning. And you will find that if your child is learning something, it'll be incorporated into their play. Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly questioned myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Amma Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Amma Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. It's the holiday season, and Serena and Amma have some ways to get our kids.
Nice. It's the singing Mama Serena.
She's breaking out. She's breaking out of her shell.
That's right. I love it. As you were saying.
I lost the word. I couldn't think of the words to end that song. But here we are this week to share with you mamas 3 screen-free activities to encourage independent play over this holiday break, because we know that you mamas are going to be running around. And so to keep our little ones occupied for a while, Amma is going to share with us 3 ways to keep them occupied.
All right. Yes, indeed. So before I get into those 3 ways, and I will give you those a little later, but Amma, I got to give you the foundation for this.
Yes.
I got to give you the reason why this is so important, not only to give you a breather and a little moment of like, okay, I can be an adult for a second. I don't have to play with my little one all day long. I don't have to cater to them all day long. I get a little breather moment. So that's one good reason for encouraging independent play. But I want to talk about the importance of independent play in child development. So number one, well, they're not really in any hierarchy of order, but first off, let's look at how independent play creates for children, or for any of us who do independent creative action or playful action. It creates opportunities to interact with the environment in our own way. So, in your child's own way, they get to interact with the world around them. That's what play is. You don't get to correct them. Nobody's going to correct them and tell them how they should be playing with their toy kitchen, for example. If they're putting marbles in the pot to cook, you don't tell them marbles aren't good for cooking. Like, they get to interact in their own way. They might pick up a toy car and start talking on it like it's their phone. That's okay. It's play. And it's so important for our brain development to have the access to that creativity. That's how great inventors throughout history created new inventions. They thought outside the box, and that's what kids are doing when they play. All right. So another very important thing is that independent play gives a child time for their busy brain. Remember how fast those little brains are growing. 3 times the size in the first 3 years, right? And then up till they're 7, another huge growth. Up till they're 12, another huge growth. And all the way through till they're in their mid-20s now, we've discovered that the brain is growing. So independent play gives a child's brain the time it needs to integrate things that it's learning. And you will find that if your child is learning something, it'll be incorporated into their play, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've been baking Christmas cookies, for example, they're going to go and they're going to put some cookies in their play oven. They're going to, roll some cookies out with their rolling pin. If they have Play-Doh, we'll talk about Play-Doh later. That's going to become what they're doing. They're making Christmas cookies. They incorporate what they're learning in their playtime. It also gives them a time to process their emotions. Back when we did an episode called It's Quiet Time, very key episode. If you haven't heard it, please go back and listen to that. Serena can look up the number for it for us and pop it in the show notes. So important to have that calming time, that time to process the emotions. Okay. So that's another key reason why independent play is really, really healthy. It fosters creativity and the imagination. And it also basically supports a child's developing independence. When they're given free play and what we call open-ended play, which means there isn't an end result that we're aiming for. They are just playing to their heart's content. They're making things happen. They're changing directions. They're changing gears. They're dropping that game and starting a new game or a new activity. And it's all their own independent choices along the way. So it really fosters and supports their developing independence. So healthy for them. Any questions or thoughts right there before
I don't have any questions, but my thoughts are that independent play sounds very, very helpful, more than like sitting at a desk and being forced to learn your letters, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
100%.
Yeah, I didn't know that how many benefits there were to, and
A
it all makes
thousand
sense.
percent. A
Yeah.
1,000%. And as I get into the 3 activities that I'll share with you, I'll talk more about some of the other growth that's happening during those kinds of things. But before we get into those, I also want to talk about how do we set ourselves and our children up for positive independent playtime, especially if your dynamic in your family is that there hasn't been any, or there's been extremely little amounts of independent playtime. I want to set you up for success. Okay. So first of all, before you're going to initiate any independent playtime, you've got to have your connection time. You've got to focus on your child first. And that doesn't mean for an hour, it might mean for 10 minutes, but it's undivided attention for your child. Okay. It could look like reading a couple of stories together, snuggled in on the couch. It could look like singing some songs together.
Or you just had breakfast together, like a
You
nice
just had a
intimate
meal
breakfast.
together. Yes. And that's a good point, because one of the suggestions is that you have it at a consistent time each day.
Mm.
And building off last week's episode about bedtime routines, any routine in the day can bring a sense of security and safety and ease to your day. Okay. Who doesn't want a little more ease in their day?
Oh,
So
please.
I don't want you I don't want you to get rigid about routines, but and it's really helpful if when you wake up in the morning, you snuggle in bed together for a few minutes, then you get up and you go to the potty together, and then, you get your breakfast, you sit down and have breakfast. That would be a great time for independent playtime or outside time, right? So which one you're going to choose. After lunchtime is another great time. And depending on your child's age, that also could be nap time. So you don't want to do it when they're tired. You want to do it sometimes when they've just woken up. You can have a snuggle time together. And then that would be also a possible good time for independent play. So yes, try and build this in to a consistent time each day, or consistently following another activity that happens every day. So great suggestion. So you've got your connection time happening. I want you to start really small. If you have not encouraged independent play before, we're going to talk about 5 minutes to start. You're going to build it up. It's going to become half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Sometimes little ones can play so long independently.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that it's the children that have that connection, that feeling of security and safety with you, that nurturing parent relationship, right? And so if you're just beginning and you're uncertain, you're going to start small. Let's go for 5 minutes. And you're going to be right beside your child, and they're just going to start playing with something that you've set out for them. And you're not going to move away. You're just going to be there, and you're not going to interact. I mean, if they say, Mama, look, you can, glance down and say, mm-hmm. And then you could have a book that you're reading or something like that. So very little interaction, if any. I don't want you to ignore your child if they're talking to you, but you can also set it up like, all right, here's the Waterplay table set up for you. And I'm going to be right here, and I'm going to look something up in my book right now. So you have fun with that, and I'll be over here, right here, doing this. And then, I'll tell you, you get into one of these 3 things, get them going on one of these 3 things, and they will get absorbed. All right. So start with 5 minutes beside you. Then you can gradually increase the time, but you can also increase the distance between you. So you can go to the other side of the room. You've got them set up. One of the great suggestions is to create a space that is the space for independent play. So it could be a small child's table. It could be a small carpet, like a little rug mat that you put down, a non-slip mat. It could be, if you're doing water play, some of these are going to sound messy when we get into them. You guys, they're going to sound like, oh no, I'm going to end up with a big cleanup. We've got some ways to deal with that.
And
you
kids
could
love getting messy. So
they
that's what's
sure
going to keep them entertained.
do. It's creative and it's exciting and it's fun, and there can be parameters that make it doable for all of you. Okay, but you can create that space that is the creative independent play space, and that's another security piece. Another, oh, now it's time for me to get into this for a while. And they'll just get lost in that little space. Another fun idea is to build a fort with blankets or sheets or something. And that can be a place just sometimes, not all the time, but that could be a place that they have their independent play. So they've got a space that's designated for their independent play. And if you have space in your house that you can put it there all the time, then I encourage you to do that. If not, take that rug or that mat that they're going to sit on or that table and put it where it works in your house. Then you can move over to the couch and you can be over there. And it could be 10 minutes, 15 minutes. All right. So those are a few things to work on to actually start it off and have success.
Can I add one more, which
Yes.
I think really, really helps, is just
Of
making
course.
sure that area is organized and they have the space.
Yes.
Because I know
Thank you.
when my daughter's playroom is everything's on the
Chaos.
floor, they get
Yep.
distracted by other things, and you
Mm-hmm.
need it to be clear for them to stay focused on what they're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's really, really important. All right. So what are these three amazing things that are going to give you half an hour or even an hour of time?
Oh, tell us.
I remember when my daughter was, I don't know, a year and a half, and I was having a rest and on my bed and talking to a girlfriend on the phone who I had been in early childhood education with at college, and we talked for this long girlfriend conversation. La 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 la. It was fairly early in the morning, and I was lounging in bed, and my little toddler was. I had these two little shelves right beside. She slept with us right beside our bed, and she was taking her toys off the shelf and putting her toys on the shelf and taking her toys off the shelf and putting her toys on the shelf. And then she would move toys around. And my friend finally said, "Where's your daughter?" I'm like, "She's right beside me. She's playing with her toys." "What do you mean she's playing with her toys? She's 1.5. Like, kids don't have this long an attention span when they're 1.5. And she'd done the training with me in early childhood education. I'm like, yeah, she does. She's just right here beside me and she's playing independently. And I had this huge long conversation with a girlfriend. So it does work, and they can be super simple things. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one that I will tell you right away is putting things on or taking things off, putting things in or taking things out. Another example was when we visited some friends who were single adults, a couple that didn't have kids. That's what I'm trying to say. And I hadn't brought toys. If you go to visit people, you guys, bring a little bag or backpack full of these independent play things that they can play with. If you have stacking cups, of the different sizes that go on top of each other or inside each other, that can keep a little toddler going for a long time.
Yep, that was my daughter's favorite.
Yeah, I got that the first time that we went on an airplane, and it was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Kept her occupied. So at these friends' house, I hadn't brought anything because I guess I didn't think we were going visiting. Anyway, I found a cup with pens and pencils in it, and I handed that to her, and she sat and she took them all out one by one by one by one by one by one by one, put them all in by one by one by one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was brilliant. And she just was so occupied. They don't need a bunch of bright plastic toys. They need things that they can maneuver and move around the environment, and they're learning, cause and effect. If I take all these things out, I can put them all back in. All right. So that's one a little idea, but that's part of what we're going to look at. The first big one I want to talk to you about is water play. Water play is phenomenal. I don't want you to be afraid about water spilling everywhere. And right off the top, I'm going to say never leave the room if your children are playing with water play. I'm sorry, but children can drown in a very small amount of water. I don't want that to freak you out, and you never let them play with water. I just want you to be in the same room. Okay. Very important detail. Water play is going to give them so much to focus on, so much calming, so much emotional regulation, so much sensory, tactile
Stimulation.
totally that stimulation, but it's a calm
Yeah.
stimulation. It's
Yeah.
not so if they're wild, water play is a fantastic thing. You could have a step stool up to your kitchen sink, and while you're chopping vegetables for supper, give them a few plastic or metal dishes in the sink full of bubbly water and get them to help mama do the dishes. I'm telling you, that can go on for half an hour. And yeah, the counter might get water. They might get wet. The floor might get water. You got some towels, you can wipe it all up.
Yeah, that was my favorite when I was little.
Yes, right? You
The
even
dishes, yeah.
remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And so also now if you're not going to be in the kitchen doing things like that, I want you to get a little basin. So I have enamel ones because I prefer not to have plastic. You can get a plastic basin. They're sell them in dollar stores. I mean, they're everywhere. And you can put water, a nice temperature of water. In the winter, it might want to be a little warmer unless your house is warm, cool, whatever. Then one of the things you can do is set this on, you put it on the floor or on a little kid's table. And you can put a towel underneath it, like a big bath sheet or bath towel. You could also put a shower curtain down on the floor, or a drop cloth. So something that's going to be under there to catch the water that's not just going to go all over the house. Okay. Now, there's so many different things you can do with water. You can add bubbles or not have bubbles. You can add toys, dolls, cars, little toy plastic animals. You can give them a sponge. They can wash some dishes if they have toy dishes. All the dolls and the cars and the animals with the sponge, they might want to bath them or give them a car wash or that kind of thing. You want to give them some containers to pour water. Fill up that container with this container. You could give them a funnel. A sieve is really fun because they can hold the sieve and pour the water through and it just gushes through. Different sizes of containers is good. Bottles, plastic bottles with lids is good. Getting kitchen tongs, that you get your salad with, or you get your corn on the cob out of the hot water. Kitchen tongs are so good because if they have two containers in the bottom of their water container, and they've got little plastic animals, they can try picking them up with the tongs and dropping them in one of the buckets and picking them up and dropping them. And it's so good for their fine motor control. Their hand muscles get strong. The pincer grasp gets really good. And all of those things, for those of you wanting your children to do well in school and learn their letters and all of those things, we have such a focus on that now. Don't sit them down and do their letters and their numbers. Get them to play in water because their hands are going to be developing the strength they need to hold the pens and paper and the pens and pencils. All right. Get some scoops, some spoons. You could use measuring cups and measuring spoons, all those kinds of things. And maybe we'll put some links in our show notes for if you want to buy them through us, you could do that. Water droppers are super fun. They can pick up the water and drop it in a little cup and try and fill up a little cup full with the water dropper. So all those kinds of things, lots of variations. You don't want to do all the things at once. You want to do one of those things one day. You want to have the animals and the sponge in there one day. And another day, you could have the animals and the sponges with soap bubbles. It's a totally different experience for a child. One day, you're going to have spoons, measuring spoons and cups for pouring and filling. And another day, you're going to have tongs and lifting those little creatures or the toy cars or whatever. Okay, so just choose one of those ideas for each time you set up water play. And I promise you, the time that you get to yourself to get a breather will be worth the little extra cleanup time. And if it goes crazy with splashing and it gets too wild, you can come over quietly and you can say, so, water play, the water is meant to stay in here. If a little bit comes out, that's okay. But I'm not okay with it being splashed like crazy. If you want to splash like crazy, let's go get you in the bath. There you can splash. Okay. The next one I want to talk to you about is a sensory table or a sensory bin. Some of you may not, a sensory tray or a sensory bin. You may not have ever heard of this. This is really simple. Again, it's like water in that you know, tub that you've got your water in. Now you're going to dump the water out, dry it out overnight, and tomorrow you're going to have something else in there for them to get their hands in. These can be things like dried beans, dried rice, uncooked, of course. It could be some kinds of dried pasta. It could be lentils or cornmeal. Cornstarch is really fun because it does interesting things when you touch it. Cotton balls, a whole tub, half of cotton ball. Buy a big cotton ball bag and have it for this purpose. Now, all these different things that you're going to have in your sensory tray or bin, you get yourself a tote, a big plastic tote with a lid, and keep all these things together. So when you get your sensory bin out, you can choose which ones are going to go in it today. If it's snowing outside, put the cotton balls in there. Or if it's snowing outside, put some flour, just some plain white flour in there and let them play. You can have spoons and scoops or forks that they can pull through and make designs in the whatever you have in there, rice or flour or whatever. You can have small containers. They can pour and fill and dump. You can have the funnel and they could see if things go through the funnel. It's super fun. It's also, you can also do different things like hide some metal objects in there that are attracted to a magnet, and get yourself a magnet. Serena, there's a bunch of things to put in our show notes here for links. Get yourself a nice magnet for the kids, a nice big magnet, and then you're going to hide a few metal things in there and they're going to find them with the magnet. Super fun.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
You can also hide things in, just hide some cars in there or hide some tiny little plastic figurines in there and they can dig for them, right? When it snows, I always bring in a bowl full of snow. This is your big bin, your basin again, bowl full of snow, and I hide cars in there. And then they dig with a spoon or a little kid trowel, shovel, and they dig and they're like, oh, like I never tell them. They just start digging in the snow and then it's like, hey, there's a car. Really? How did that get there? Are there any more in there? And this activity for some kids can get them going and keep them going for a long, long time. I do want to say some children have very high sensitivities to touch, and never, ever, ever force a child to put their hands in any substance that's in there. They might not like the feel of it. I know one of my grandsons didn't like sand in a sandbox when he first started playing. It took him a long time. He sat on the edge of the sandbox for a while. And it doesn't mean take it away and go, oh, okay, you don't like that, fine. You then put your hands in and go, oh, actually, the flour feels soft on my hands. I wonder what happens if I drive this toy car through the flour. Oh, there's a trail from the toy car. So you get into it. You show them that it's fun. They might get interested and they might not. And if they don't, Don't write that one off completely. Bring it out another day, a few weeks later. Try again, or a few months later. But don't force them and don't give up on it. All right. And they might just prefer the sensation of beans. They might not like to get flour on their hands. That's okay. Now, I also want to say, don't throw all this food out when you're done, and don't cook with it. But put it in a Ziploc bag or a container with a lid and put it in your sensory bin that you're going to keep all these things for other times. Okay. One fun thing when you need to do cleanup is involve the kids with the cleanup. And if the beans are all over their mat, their play mat, or if things get spilled by accident, it's best not to get angry, like, oh, I see a big spill happen. Let's get the paper funnel. And you get a piece of your computer paper, your printer paper, and you make a cone shape, right? And it becomes a paper funnel. So you can put lots of things in there and they can put them back into the bin or into the container that those things go in at cleanup time. So involve the kids in cleanup time. And I really, really hope that you try some of these things. The last one, and I'll go through this real quick, is Play-Doh. We have a recipe for you in the show notes. I can't say enough good things about Play-Doh. And what's so good about it? It's fun to dig and pound and squash and poke and squeeze and press and roll and squash and design and rake, like all the things that you can do with Play-Doh. It builds muscles in their hands really, really well. Their fine motor development is huge when they are given Play-Doh. Don't sit them down with a pen and pencil. Give them Play-Doh. They'll enjoy it a lot more, and they'll be doing what's age appropriate for their development. Playing with Play-Doh, playing with any of these things builds their concentration. It builds eye-hand coordination, which is really, really important for the development of learning how to read and write and do numbers and all of those things that will come when they go to school. And again, you can add small plastic animals, toy cars, give them some cookie cutters. If you don't have the child-size Play-Doh toys to use, I will recommend that you get some. There's beautiful wooden sets that you can get that have a rolling pin and different pounding things that have different shapes on them. And they will use these things, and wooden knives or plastic knives you can get. They'll use these things for, hours. Okay. And then if you could use your garlic press, your potato masher, give them some straws cut into small pieces. And the straws, if somebody's had a birthday, those straws are going to become birthday candles in their imaginative play. So if you use some of those tools with your Play-Doh, then they're going to need to be washed. And that circles us back to Waterplay. So we've got Waterplay, a sensory tray or bin, and Play-Doh for your 3 hugely exciting, long time opportunity for independent play. I hope that you all try any of these and all of these on different days, and let us know how it goes. And I'm sorry, this is a long episode, but I wanted to tell you the importance. I wanted to tell you how to set up for success. And I wanted to give you lots of opportunities for those 3 basic ideas, but lots of different things to add in to make it fun each day. All right. I hope that gives you some time and some breathing space, mamas.
Yes.
Enjoy
this holiday season with your families and have fun. Take care. Thanks for being here with us.
We love you.
You want to say bye? Say bye.
Bye.
You say have fun?
Bye.
And it's almost time to say Happy New Year.
All right, mamas. I know that was a lot, but if you take anything away from this episode, I hope it's these top 3 things. Number one being that independent play gives our kids time to incorporate what they're learning, and it's very fun to watch and observe. It gives them time to process their emotions, and it supports their independence. And I'm all for some more independence for my kids. Number two is set it up for success. So we know our kids like to get messy, and if they're playing with water or flour or beans even, we need to know that it's okay if it gets messy. We'll clean it up together after. Which leads me into the third one, clean up time. Let's involve our kids and let them have fun, let them get messy, and you guys will clean it up together. And it might be a process to clean up, but it's also worth it to get that time that your kids get to process their emotions and do all of that while we're able to get something done. Or finally, you take this time to get absolutely nothing done and you just sit there and relax, mamas, because it's been a hectic holiday for me. So I'm sure I'm not the only mama out there. We wish you all a happy new year and good luck. Take some time to yourselves and set it up for success.
Hey, Mama.
Thank you for being here with us.
That.
Okay, how cute was that? Thanks for being here with us. Hit subscribe to get notified.
And hey, did you get anything out of this episode? I know I did. Show some love and send it to your mama friends to bless their day too.
And before you run and change that diaper, take 5 seconds and leave us a review saying how much you love us. You'll be helping other mamas find us. Did you know that? And hopefully find answers to the questions that are keeping them awake at night.
And if you screenshot your review and DM it to us, you will be entered to win a 1-hour coaching call at a discounted price with Amma Lisa.
I can't wait to chat with you. Come hang out with us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. Just click the links in the show notes. And you can direct message us anytime. We would love to chat with you.
We also have a buy me a coffee option for a fun way that you can support this podcast for just as much as you care to give. Just click the show support link in our show notes. Thank you.
This show.
See you next week.
You don't